If you'd have told me, let's say you picked him on Saturday, right? Friday night driving home, y'all are going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. But we had a conversation early that morning, and then we had a conversation later that day. I think we had the right people involved in the conversation. At the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur. Just like who's going to start or what play we're going to call is Kevin's call. But that's Andrew's call. He made the call.
Dillon Gabriel is going to be QB2 this week because Shedeur Sanders is going to be QB1. And Gabriel got plenty of runway this season, had about 2 months essentially of starts. What they wanted to do by the end of the season is evaluate themselves thoroughly at the quarterback position and know what they have. And Shedeur Sanders earned another start. At least. The plan has always been to play him, right? That has always been what, from owner Jimmy Haslam all the way on down to Kevin Stefanski, who has been invested in Shedeur Sanders. They wanted to know what they have at quarterback, and considering the plays that he made, putting his team in position to win and actually winning, he has earned at least one more start, and I would not be surprised if he earns even more, Colleen.
An NFL insider just dropped the truth bomb everyone's been whispering about, but too scared to say out loud. Jimmy Haslam didn't ask Kevin Stefanski to start Shedeur Sanders, he demanded it. Ian Rappaport went live and spilled every messy detail about what really went down behind those closed doors in Cleveland, and wow, it's way worse than anyone imagined. According to Rappaport, this wasn't some last-minute call. The plan to play Shedeur came straight from the top, owner Jimmy Haslam himself. But here's where things get wild. If that was always the plan, then why wasn't Shedeur taking first-team reps from day one? Why did it take Dillon Gabriel getting a concussion and, as insiders claim, pressure from the top before the rookie finally hit the field? See, Stefanski never wanted to make that move. The owner basically forced his hand, and now that Shedeur just won his debut, becoming the first Browns rookie QB to do that since 1995, the entire power structure in Cleveland is about to crack wide open. This isn't just a little team drama, it's a full-on power struggle. The whispers are getting louder, the locker room's on edge, and trust me, what's happening behind the scenes isn't just about who starts at quarterback, it's about who really runs the Browns. This isn't just a little disagreement. It's a full-blown power war between an owner who swears he knows raw talent when he sees it, and a head coach too stubborn to admit he messed up. And the wild part, the whole football world just watched it unfold live, right in front of millions of fans. Let's rewind for a second, because the backstory here is straight up wild. The Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, 144th overall, and from the jump, something just didn't sit right. This kid was rated by most draft experts as a late first-round talent. Even Mel Kiper Jr. called him the best quarterback in the entire draft class. But somehow, he slipped all the way to the 5th round, and when Cleveland grabbed him, everyone thought they'd just pulled off the steal of the century. But nah, things didn't go that way. Instead of giving him real reps, instead of letting him grow and prove himself, head coach Kevin Stefanski straight up buried him on the depth chart behind Dillon Gabriel, and here's where the drama really heats up. While Stefanski was smiling in front of cameras, saying Gabriel was their guy week after week, owner Jimmy Haslam was behind the scenes saying something completely different. According to ESPN's Daniel Oyefusi, while Stefanski kept playing it cool about when or if Shedeur would touch the field, Haslam went on record making it clear he wanted both rookie quarterbacks evaluated before the 2026 draft. Let that sink in for a second. The owner of the team was publicly contradicting his own head coach's plan, and that right there tells you everything about how shaky things have gotten in Cleveland. That's not normal behavior for any team that actually runs smooth. That's ownership straight up saying, I don't care what you think, we're doing this my way. The comeback even reported that Jimmy Haslam went over the coach's head to force Shedeur Sanders into the starting lineup, and Heavy.com took it a step further, calling it exactly what it was, a mandate from the team owner himself, not a friendly nudge, not a suggestion, a flat-out order. That means Stefanski had zero say once that command came down from the top. Now let's break down why this explosion even happened, because the numbers behind Dillon Gabriel's performance made it impossible for Stefanski to keep defending his choice. Gabriel started 6 games for the Browns and only managed 1 win out of 6. His PFF grade, a brutal 49.0, ranking him 39th out of 39 qualified quarterbacks in the league. That's dead last, rock bottom, and it gets uglier. Gabriel averaged just 117 passing yards per game and connected on only 2 of 8 throws that traveled more than 20 yards downfield. The offense wasn't just struggling, it was painful to watch. Every Sunday felt like punishment for Browns fans who've already been through too much heartbreak. But somehow, Stefanski kept sending him out there week after week, same tired routine. He kept giving Gabriel first-team reps and pretending he was the long-term answer when anyone with eyes could see the truth. It was clear to everyone except the man making the calls, and that's when everything snapped. The front office couldn't ignore the disaster any longer, and Jimmy Haslam decided to take matters into his own hands. No more waiting, no more excuses. Word around the league is that the owner stormed into meetings demanding answers, asking how the team could keep losing while a top-tier rookie sat on the bench. That's when the tone shifted from polite discussion to pure authority. Insiders say Haslam made it crystal clear Shedeur Sanders was going to start. End of story. People in the building described the vibe as tense, like everyone knew something major was about to change. Stefanski, who had been standing his ground for weeks, suddenly found himself cornered. His coaching credibility was on the line, and everyone could feel it. Then came the big moment, Shedeur's first start. The rookie walked onto that field like he'd been waiting his whole life for it. And what did he do? He lit it up. He played calm, confident, and completely flipped the energy in the locker room. Fans went wild, social media exploded, and the same analysts who once doubted him started calling him the future of Cleveland. But behind all the celebration, tension was still brewing. Stefanski might have smiled for the cameras, but deep down, everyone knew he'd just been overruled by his own boss. That kind of power play doesn't just fade away, it leaves scars inside an organization. The big question now is simple but dangerous. After being publicly forced into a move he didn't want, how long before Stefanski pushes back? Because here's where things are about to explode. Ever since Shedeur's breakout game, the locker room hasn't been the same. Players are starting to pick sides, some backing Stefanski out of loyalty, others rolling with the owner's call because they believe Shedeur's the real deal. That quiet tension has turned into straight-up whispers in the hallway, and people close to the team say the atmosphere is getting colder by the day. Coaches are walking on eggshells, staffers are keeping their heads down, and every press conference feels like a guessing game about who's actually running the team. You've got Haslam calling shots like a general, Stefanski trying to keep control, and Shedeur right in the middle trying to prove he deserves that spotlight. Reports say the situation's gotten so bad that a few assistant coaches are privately questioning how long Stefanski can even last if this power struggle keeps up. There's talk that Haslam's already reaching out to potential replacements if the Browns start slipping again. That's not rumor anymore. It's coming from people inside the building who've seen this story play out before. And let's be real, this kind of drama never stays quiet for long. The cameras, the headlines, the constant speculation, it's turning Cleveland into the league's biggest soap opera. The fans are eating it up, but inside the team, it's chaos. Everyone knows one thing for sure. When an owner starts dictating lineups and the head coach loses control, somebody's going to get burned. The only question now is, who's going first? And the craziest part, this storm isn't slowing down. It's getting louder by the day. Sources say the front office is split in two camps. The Haslam loyalists, who think Shedeur Sanders is the spark the Browns have been missing, and the Stefanski supporters, who believe the coach is being set up to fail. That kind of division doesn't just disappear, it spreads, infecting every layer of the organization. Players have started speaking off the record, dropping hints that meetings have turned awkward, and communication between Stefanski and ownership is basically ice cold. One insider even said the tension got so bad that a heated argument broke out after practice last week between a position coach and one of Haslam's top advisors. That's when you know the situation's gone off the rails. Meanwhile, Shedeur's out there just trying to focus on football, but even he can feel the weight of it. Every snap, every throw, every mistake gets magnified like it's a statement in this power war. The media's following his every move, the fans are demanding answers, and the locker room is holding its breath. What's wild is that Cleveland hasn't seen this kind of drama since the Baker Mayfield days, and even that looks tame compared to what's unfolding now. It's not just about winning games anymore, it's about survival. The next few weeks could decide more than the Browns' record. They could decide who still has a job when the dust finally settles. That's when the whispers turned into straight-up noise all across Cleveland. Local radio hosts were lighting Stefanski up like never before. Tony Rizzo went off on ESPN Cleveland saying, "How can this kid that was rated as a late first-round draft pick not get on the field for a team that sucks? They're not even giving him reps. That's on the coach, man." You could hear the frustration through the mic. And then his co-host, Aaron Goldhammer, took it even further, saying, "I guess Coach Stefanski would rather get fired than play Shedeur Sanders because I think that's where we're at." Let that sink in. The people who cover this team every single day were openly suggesting that the head coach would rather lose his job than admit he was wrong about his quarterback choice. That's brutal, and it shows just how ugly things had gotten behind the scenes. Then everything changed on November 16th against Baltimore. Dillon Gabriel took a nasty hit and was immediately placed in concussion protocol. Suddenly, Stefanski had no choice. He had to throw Shedeur Sanders into the game. The rookie stepped in under the brightest lights imaginable, and yeah, it was rough. He completed only 4 of 16 passes for 47 yards and threw 1 interception. Not exactly a highlight reel debut, but here's the twist. That moment cracked the door open. Even though the numbers were bad, it forced the organization's hand. Jimmy Haslam finally got the opening he'd been waiting for, the perfect excuse to push his rookie onto the field full time. And once that decision was made, there was no going back. And that's when it finally happened. Stefanski announced that Shedeur Sanders would be the starter for Week 12 against the Raiders. And for the first time since draft night, the kid finally got real first-team reps in practice. Let that sink in. For months, they had a potential franchise quarterback just sitting there, watching from the sidelines, not even getting a look with the starters. That's not development. That's straight-up disrespect, or at best, it's a coaching staff that clearly never wanted him there in the first place.
But here's where the story takes a wild turn. Dillon Gabriel was cleared from concussion protocol before that Raiders game. He was medically good to go, ready to suit up, but Stefanski stuck with Shedeur as the starter. When reporters pressed him on the decision, Stefanski gave this perfectly polished answer. The #1 job of a quarterback is to win, so I'm excited to get that first win under his belt. Sounds nice, right? But come on, everyone knows what really went down. That call came straight from above. Haslam wanted Shedeur out there, and there was no room for debate.
And then, boom! Shedeur went out and delivered. He silenced every critic who doubted him, becoming the first Browns rookie quarterback since 1995 to win his debut game. Think about that. 30 long years of misses, experiments, and heartbreak before a rookie finally pulled it off. And here's the extra sting. The win came against the Raiders, the very team that was rumored to be all over Shedeur before the draft. They passed on him multiple times, acted like he wasn't worth the pick, and then had to watch him torch them in his first start. You couldn't script it better than that. That throw to Isaiah Bond, unreal. A 52-yard laser through the air, dropped right into his hands, pure perfection. It wasn't just a good throw, it was the longest Browns completion of the entire 2025 season. Even defensive beast Myles Garrett couldn't hold back after the game, saying, "There's not many guys in the league that can make that throw." That was a hell of a throw. When your star defensive end is geeking out over your rookie quarterback's arm like that, you know something special just went down there. But the real story isn't just what Shedeur did on the field, it's the mindset he showed before and after that game. Before kickoff, a sideline reporter asked him what he wanted to show Browns fans in his first start. Most rookies would have hit the safe, humble, media-trained answer. Not Shedeur. He stared straight into the camera and said, "I'm who they've been looking for." Then he just walked away. No hesitation, no nerves, just pure confidence. That's not cocky, that's belief. That's a guy who knows exactly who he is and what he brings. And after the game, when asked about all the people who doubted him, he didn't dodge it. He said, "A lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't gonna happen." And you know what? He proved it right there on the field. First career start, first career win, a performance that made history. And just like that, the Browns finally have their quarterback. You could feel it in the stadium, like a new era had just begun. And now, Cleveland is buzzing like never before. The entire city's talking about Shedeur Sanders, fans, players, analysts. Everybody's locked in on this kid. Overnight, he went from being the forgotten rookie to the face of the franchise, and you can feel that shift in the air. But as his star rises, so does the tension behind the scenes. Because make no mistake, Shedeur's success just made the power struggle even louder. Jimmy Haslam looks like the genius who called it from the start, while Kevin Stefanski's standing there trying to act like it was all part of his plan. Please, everyone knows that call came from upstairs. Sources close to the team are already saying Haslam feels vindicated, and he's letting everyone in the building know it. That kind of energy, dangerous. Meanwhile, Stefanski's trying to keep his composure in front of the media, smiling through press conferences like everything's fine, but the insiders can see right through it. He's under more pressure now than he's ever been, because if Shedeur keeps winning, there's no more room for excuses. The moment the Browns start stacking wins, the narrative flips completely. Haslam's the visionary, and Stefanski's the coach who almost fumbled a franchise quarterback. But the deeper you look, the clearer it gets. This story is far from over, because behind every highlight, every press conference smile, and every locker room handshake, there's still tension simmering under the surface. People close to the team say Haslam's been walking around the facility like a man who just proved everyone wrong, while Stefanski's trying to keep the locker room from slipping out of his control. That dynamic can't hold forever. Something's gotta give. You can already feel the cracks forming. Some players are all in on Shedeur, saying he's brought new life and swagger to the offense. Others, they're still loyal to Stefanski and the system he's been pushing for years. The result is this quiet divide. Nothing explosive yet, but it's bubbling, and everyone in the building feels it. One insider even said the locker room feels like a winning team with losing energy. That says a lot. Meanwhile, the media is circling like sharks. Every little comment gets twisted. Every sideline stare becomes a headline. Even national shows are starting to ask the question nobody in Cleveland wants to answer out loud. If Shedeur keeps winning, does Stefanski even make it to the end of the season? Because right now, it's starting to look like his own quarterback might be saving the team and ending his job at the same time. And that's the crazy part. This isn't just about football anymore. It's about pride, power, and reputation. Cleveland's back in the spotlight, and this time, it's not for heartbreak, it's for chaos. The question hanging over the city now is simple but heavy. How long can this uneasy truce last before everything explodes again? Moving forward, it's official. Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter both confirmed it. Shedeur Sanders is QB1 for Week 13 and beyond. Even with Dillon Gabriel fully healthy and cleared to play, the job is Shedeur's now. No questions asked. Because once you let that genie out of the bottle, once you give the fans what they've been begging for, and it actually works, you can't shove it back in. That chapter's closed for good. Now let's be real and tackle the elephant in the room. People are already trying to downplay it, saying things like, it's just one game, or the Raiders' defense is trash, or don't overreact. Sure, you can say that, but context is everything. Shedeur didn't just win his first start, he made history. He became the first Browns rookie quarterback in 30 years to win his debut. That's not a fluke. That's a statement. And it wasn't just about numbers, he completely flipped the energy of the team. The Browns went from flat and lifeless to fired up and fearless. His arm opened up the playbook, his confidence lit up the locker room, and his presence gave fans something they hadn't felt in decades: hope. Let's not forget, Shedeur made throws that Dillon Gabriel never came close to hitting in 6 starts. And here's the part that's got the rest of the league shaking a little. This is just the beginning. The Browns finally found their spark, and the NFL better start paying attention because this kid's only getting started. Shedeur had just 1 week of first-team reps before that start. 1 week, that's all he got to build chemistry with his receivers, learn the timing, and get comfortable running the offense with the starters. 7 days to prepare, and he still looked better than the guy who'd been getting those reps since training camp. That's wild. Now imagine what happens when he gets more time, more rhythm, and more confidence with the first unit. Things could get scary for opposing defenses. And the road ahead, it's looking surprisingly favorable. They've got the 49ers this week, then the Dolphins. Both games that are winnable if Shedeur keeps up his momentum. After that, a revenge showdown with the Bengals and another must-watch matchup with the Bears and Caleb Williams, the same guy Shedeur went toe-to-toe with back in college and held his own against. If Shedeur goes 4-2 or even 3-3 down the stretch, there's zero conversation about drafting another quarterback in 2026. He'll have earned that job for good. But here's the part that really shows how deep this drama runs. The stuff happening behind the scenes. Because even though Stefanski and Shedeur both keep saying there's no tension, everybody knows that's not the full story. Reports and insiders have already spilled plenty of tea. According to ESPN Sports, draft room footage showed nothing but half-hearted applause when Shedeur's name was called. That's not excitement, that's resistance. And NFL insider Benjamin Albright doubled down, saying there was definitely a split in that room. Some of the staff wanted other options, but once ownership spoke up, that was that. Haslam wanted Shedeur, and everyone else had to fall in line. It doesn't get clearer than that. The coaching staff had their guy in mind, but the boss made the call. And now, with Shedeur proving them all wrong, that tension's only getting thicker. Ownership wanted Shedeur, and when it came down to it, ownership won. Jimmy Haslam tried to act like he wasn't the one pulling the strings, saying, at the end of the day, that's Andrew Barry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur, but Sports Illustrated pointed out that Haslam made it very clear. General manager Andrew Barry was the one who pushed for Sanders, not Stefanski. Translation, the head coach got overruled in his own building, plain and simple. And that right there is what created all this bad blood. That kind of move doesn't just disappear, it festers, it builds resentment, it creates friction, and it puts the coach in a spot where he's not fully committed to the quarterback he never wanted in the first place. That's what makes Shedeur's success so wild. He's thriving in spite of the situation, not because of it. He won without months of first-team reps. He won even though parts of the coaching staff reportedly didn't believe in him. He won when the noise, the critics, and the so-called draft experts claimed he slipped to the 5th round because of off-the-field nonsense, not talent. Everyone's been saying it. His game was always first-round caliber, and now the world's seeing it live. ESPN Cleveland summed it up perfectly. His draft slide had nothing to do with his performance. It was all about perception. Mel Kiper Jr. graded Shedeur strictly by his on-field skill, and that's why he called him the best quarterback in the entire draft class. And you know what? Mel Kiper was right. We just watched it unfold on the field in Week 12. Shedeur proved every doubter wrong, and he did it his way. So here's where everything stands. Jimmy Haslam forced Kevin Stefanski's hand, and honestly, it might have just saved the Browns' future. Shedeur Sanders came in, won his first career start, made history, and showed he's everything Cleveland's been chasing since they came back to the NFL in 1999. 42 different starting quarterbacks, they tried 42, and now they might finally have the one. Yeah, the tension between ownership and coaching isn't going anywhere. That dysfunction inside the building, it's real. But you know what else is real? Shedeur Sanders' arm talent, his composure under pressure, his fire when the moment's biggest. If Jimmy Haslam hadn't stepped in and demanded the kid get a shot, we might have never seen it. And that's the wildest part of all. Now, the question isn't whether Shedeur can play. He answered that loud and clear on Sunday. The real question is whether the Browns can get out of their own way long enough to let him grow into the franchise QB they've needed for decades. Because if they blow this, if they let egos, politics, and front office drama ruin what could be a generational talent, Cleveland fans will never forgive them. This is more than a comeback. It's the start of something special. The city finally has a reason to believe again, and the whole league's watching to see how far this kid can take them. If you made it all the way here, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video because we're breaking down every single chapter of Shedeur Sanders' journey this season. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Jimmy Haslam right to step in, or should coaches have full control over who starts? Let's hear it, and I'll see you in the next one.